Three, two. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Let's take a look at round three, the semis of the college football playoffs today. We're talking about last week, man. Real quick, we're going to go over last week. Texas and Arizona State. Arizona State, Scatabo, great game. Arizona State, great game. Texas, what the fuck are we doing, man? What are we doing? I mean, you can't completely take it away from Texas because it was for the most part kind of a close game. For if you watched the game, if you kept up with just the score, you probably would have thought Texas was pulling away pretty early. But really, it was a pretty close game if you were actually watching the game. So, not to take anything away from Arizona State, but Texas, this game shouldn't have gone into overtime, much less two overtimes. Uh, Ohio State, Oregon. Oregon, what the fuck? Oregon. Ohio State beats the piss out of Oregon. Absolutely beats the piss out of Oregon. Oregon, are people just forgetting they have to play Ohio State? What's going on with this? The same thing happened to Tennessee in the first round. They got blanked. Oregon, blanked. Now we move on to Texas. Penn State, Boise State. Penn State wins that game. Duh, we saw that coming. That was actually a pretty close game. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. But for the most part, that was actually a really good game. Don't let the score fool you. Some of those were just late bullshit time touchdowns. Notre Dame, Georgia. Notre Dame beats Georgia with no Carson Beck in New Orleans. Notre Dame beats Georgia. Notre Dame advances. Georgia, with kind of how they were kind of set up for failure. I'm not gonna lie. With yeah. Anyways, we're gonna move on and talk about these semis. Talk about the Cotton Bowl, Texas, Ohio State. Ohio State is absolutely rolling right now. Ohio State is beating the piss out of everyone that steps on the field. However, y'all know I'm a Texas fan. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna jump ship. I'm gonna say Texas wins this game against the odds right now. Right? Ohio State is favored by 5.5. I say Texas comes in and puts a stop to it because Texas got there. They didn't have a very good game against Arizona State. They could have done a lot better. I would consider that a bad game as a Texas fan. Texas, I'm gonna say we got our bad game out of the way, right? I'm gonna say we got our bad game out of the way. Isaiah Bond has been practicing. He's looking good. I hope to God that he plays against Ohio State. The Clemson game was actually a really good game. That was never we're never going to absolutely demolish Clemson. That was destined to be a good game, anyways. Arizona State, not a great game from Texas. So I'm gonna say we've kind of gotten our shit straight from here, right? Ohio State, you can't say they haven't played anyone because they played Tennessee and Oregon and beat the piss out of both. So you can't really say, well, I haven't really played anyone. But all of their games have kind of been walking the parks, right? I mean, what was the score? What was the score at halftime for Ohio State and Oregon? Was it 28? Maybe 35? It might have been 35. Didn't do too much in the second half, right? We haven't really seen anyone in these playoffs make Ohio State just keep it competitive. We haven't seen no competitiveness against Ohio State from Tennessee or Oregon. So if Texas can just keep the first quarter under control and the score is a one-score game at halftime, maybe 10-point game, I think we can do it. I think Texas can pull this off. Plus, we have yet to unleash the ultimate, the Dungeon Dragon of Arch Manning, right? Maybe he'll get to play. So give me Texas on this one. I'm going to say Texas wins 34-31. And yes, that means I am giving our sorry-ass kicker two kicks with that score prediction, 34-31. When he missed 18 the other day, 56 kicks were missed the other day. Easy ones. But I'm going to say he gets shit together. It's a perfect story. He comes back, puts them into the championship, 34-31 Texas. Next, we talk about Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's picked to win by 2.5. I think Penn State takes this one. Again, Penn State, they're coming off of a bit of a tougher game. That competitiveness has been there for them this last week. For Notre Dame, it really, same thing for Ohio State. It really hasn't been there. Week 1 versus Indiana, that game was much worse than what the score says. And then Notre Dame, Georgia, that was never really a close game. The end of the first quarter was 0-0. After that, I think it was 10-3. And then Notre Dame just kept going from there, and Georgia never scored again. Or they scored a touchdown in the second half. But anyways, that it wasn't a very competitive game. Penn State, Boise, don't let that score fool you. That was a competitive game. It was 14-14 at one point. Boise State comes back, ties it up. And then late, third quarter, fourth quarter, Penn State kind of pulls away and makes it look worse than what it was. So Penn State has been fighting tooth and nail. I think Notre Dame gets shocked here by Penn State. Even though Penn State's the higher seed, but Notre Dame still picked to win -2.5. So I'm going to say Penn State advances to the championship. They look really, really, really good. Penn State looks really good. We've seen them have to battle. We've seen them. I just feel like we've seen more from them than Notre Dame. And it's Ohio State, Texas, such a weird one because Ohio State has been beating the shit out of everyone, but we haven't seen no one give it back to them, right? We have not seen nobody give it back to them. Texas, we've seen them down against Clemson. Clemson makes a comeback. Texas pulls away and wins. Texas and Arizona State. Arizona comes back. Texas puts it into overtime, double overtime, gets the win in one play and second overtime. So we've seen Texas battle that adversity. We haven't seen that from Ohio State. So this game is either going to be Ohio State's going to absolutely beat the shit out of Texas, or it's going to be within a 3-point game. Those are the only two options here. And Texas wins. So give me that. Give me Texas and Penn State in the Natty. We'll see what happens, man. So far, we've only gotten one game wrong, and that was Georgia Notre Dame. But we'll see what we can do. Catch you all in the next one, man. Later.